In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast, powered by the Roll Up Network. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. I really appreciate all the support. Just honestly, thank you guys so much. Past few episodes have been booming. We're growing a lot, and it means a lot to us that you're loving the show. Before we jump into tonight's film review, just going to give a quick shout out to the our essentials. Check out our website, don'tgooutthere.com. It has everything about this podcast on there. Brian did a great job designing it. It's got all of our episodes, interviews. What else we got on there? Our celebrity shout outs, our store, I almost forgot, our blog, and we got all our social media links. We're on all social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Go follow us, subscribe. Shout out to our blood donors. Check it out if you want to support us.
We are so excited by the participation in this blood donor campaign. For those of you who don't know or maybe new, we have launched a new Patreon campaign called Blood Donors. We have 5 donor tiers that range from, just $5 monthly donation to even one-time donations as well. And in exchange for keeping the lights on, we've added perks such as early content to bonus episodes, autographed pictures, t-shirts, and even joining us for an episode of your choice. Any donation goes straight to helping with web hosting, SoundCloud hosting, guest procurement. Again, just thank you guys and girls so much. We have some of the best loyal listeners. We love each and every one of you. We can't believe every day that we get to do this. Just go to don'tgooutthere.com and click donate. And oh yes, there will be blood. But again, not real blood. This is money, you animals.
It means a lot to us that you guys do take time to support us. We got monthly, reoccurring Patreon, and we have one time. Just check out the blood donors. Go ahead, Mike.
Before you start, I just want to say, peek behind the curtain. We're recording this episode on the anniversary of the day we announced the show. And at that time, I believe it was just us 3 that were going to take part in it. And so, it's just going to be us 3 tonight. Brother Dustin had prior obligations. We're ready for him to be back next week. But I just wanted to say what a crazy ride it's been since we announced the show. I mean, I could have never, ever, still can't imagine what this show has become and grown into. Like you said, Nico, at the top of the show, just the fact that people pay to have their movies reviewed by us is something that won't ever not blow my mind, especially because they know going in it may get a bad review. If you listen to our shows, our episodes, you kind of have an idea of where we're going to lean on stuff. And to pay to have someone kind of shit on your film is a really novel thing. I mean, I appreciate it more than you could ever know. It's just, that popped up on my memories today, and it was kind of fun to realize, man, it's this started as kind of a joke between me and Nico on Twitter, and it's gotten into all kind. Man, we interviewed Freddie fucking Cougar. You can't tell me anything.
Hey, shout out to Sean, by the way, who had the best line ever, and he said, "I paid for this shit."
That was great.
And again, we appreciate all of that. And, even if you don't pay, we still, all the listens count, man. I mean, golly, it's really cool in just a 2-year span to kind of see the show. All you have to do on the Apple Podcast is type in horror movies, and this podcast pops up number 1, number 2 almost every time. And so with people out there like Dead Meat and all those other guys to have, to be in that top tier is a really cool accomplishment. So
yeah, like Mike said, we announced this show 2 years ago. That's awesome. We've grown so much. Like he said, it's mind-blowing to think of where we are now. Tonight we're reviewing a movie that we wasn't expecting to review this week. We had a little bit of we had to go to the drawing boards. Tonight was supposed to be big time fan of the show. Joe's legendary pick, but she's out sick right now. So y'all keep her in your, send her your thoughts, prayers, good vibes, all that good stuff. Hope she gets feeling better. But we kind of called an audible. At the end of October, we're going to be doing another big ranking. So we all kind of agreed on one of the movies in one of those franchises. So tonight we'll be reviewing 2013's Curse of Chucky. I'll go first with general thoughts. I really like this movie. It's one of my top 2, top 3 favorites in the franchise. I still haven't decided yet where it's at yet. I think all of us somewhat like the movie or like it. I think it's a fun movie. I think it's creepy. It's got a good atmosphere. I do have, I'll touch on it later on, but there's continuity. Like, I'm not even the big continuity guy on the show, but the continuity stuff from this one to the first one, it's a little weird to me. It doesn't make a little bit of sense, but still, great movie. I want Brad Dourif on this show, by God. I don't know who I got to ask, but we're going to get him one day, eventually. Go ahead, Brian, with general thoughts.
Yeah, a little peek behind the curtain. Mike actually texted, "Hey, why don't we do a Cult of Chucky?"
Oops.
And I was like, "Please, can we do Curse instead?"
Sounds good.
Thank you for obliging me on that. But I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of the Chucky franchise. But with that said, I love this one. It's far and away my favorite one of the franchise. When we covered Bride, I actually said how much I hated that, Bride and Seed turned the franchise into a joke in my eyes. So I didn't really have much hope for this one when it was announced, but by God, I was surprised when I finally rented this bad boy on demand. And I say on demand because it was the first one in the series to not go to the theater. But, like I said, to me, it was finally a horror movie again. And this definitely showed how a reboot should be done. Dare I say, it may have rebooted the franchise the best, being that, as good as Halloween 18 and Friday 09 were as reboots, and don't get me wrong, they're better movies, but this one didn't have to get rid of some movies or lore that came before it. I mean, as bad as I think Bride and Seed were, it didn't write them off, like they didn't happen. And it references all of the other movies, kind of like Nico was just talking about, in little subtle ways, but not in a way where you have to have seen them all either. I think Fiona Dourif was tremendous. Brad Dourif, got more of a chance to be Brad Dourif in the movie. And anytime that happens, it's a good thing, I think. So I love it. High praises from me.
Yeah, like you, Brian, I'm not a big fan of this franchise in general. It just never clicked with me. And obviously, I think if I had grown up on it, I may feel a little bit different about it. But I didn't see these movies, obviously. So when I watched them for the first time, it didn't really click with me. I like the first one. I don't like the second one. I know that one has a lot of high praise, but that one just isn't for me. I like the third. Bride's okay. Seed is an abomination. And then we get to Curse, and I was like you, Brian. I really was not looking forward to watching it, but it's a new horror movie. I'm willing to give a new horror movie a chance in a franchise, even if the last one before it wasn't any good. I'm always going to do that. And so when I watched this for the first time, I said, okay, this is what I want to see from a Chucky movie. And again, I like Bride for what it is, but even Bride and Seed kind of took the franchise in a place I didn't think was necessary. And I like meta, but it wasn't the meta that was the problem with those movies to me. It was a lot of the other stuff that I just feel like it was too silly, too ha-ha, too over the top. This is kind of a bare bones back to basics Chucky to me in a good way. You get really good one-liners from Brad motherfucking Dourif, as I'm so eloquently call him on this show. Please come on our show. I'm just please. Anyway, you get great one-liners from him. I don't think the acting is as bad as I've seen on the internet. I actually think Fiona Dourif is really, really good. She can also call me sometime. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think as far as her role goes, I think she's really good. You get a lot of. I'll give Don Mancini this. His work behind the camera in this movie is some of the best he's done as far as the ones he's directed. Some of the shots you get are very, very, the close-ups on Chucky's eyes and mouth are really good. We're going to talk about it in a second, but the one that kind of spins around the room is really good. The final chase, quote unquote, the final chase scene, I think, is really well shot and made and everything else. And so, man, there's a lot to like here. Now, I will say, Yeah, I kind of didn't like that they kept a lot of the continuity from the other films because, this is not a hard reboot. To me, by the way, like you said, Brian, it is a reboot technically, but it's almost not enough of one for me. I kind of wish they had wiped the slate a little more clean, but I'll put a happy bow on it. I do like that they tie back to the first film, whether it makes sense or not, whatever. But I will give them credit for trying to kind of write it back so it makes a little more sense. So excited to talk about it, man. And I just want to say, because I don't know if I broke up the last time, but Fiona Dorff can call me sometime if she wants to. I mean, it's really not a big deal.
I definitely think that Don kind of forgot Seed a little bit because I don't remember no Glenn or Glenda getting brought back up. But
he doesn't let us forget when we get to that bum ass movie after this, Cult. God, there's some Seed references in that piece of garbage.
Yeah, I do not like Cult of Chucky.
Hey, Nico, before you go, Brian, I just want to let you know that was a slip of the tongue or the slip of the fingers when I said Cult. I meant curse. Okay.
Okay, good.
If we ever review Cult, we're running out of films. We got to do something else.
Hey, and I want to say too, just as a disclaimer here, we actually reviewed the rated version of this movie, but I do have a lot, and I know Nico does too, some of the differences that we'll share throughout just during the breakdown. So I just wanted to put that out there too.
I was going to ask, is there a big difference besides the ending with Andy?
There are about 5 differences. There's 2 really big ones, and the ending with the ending with Andy is the biggest one. But there's a kill in there that's really a big time different. But other than that, yeah, no, it's just little nuances.
Okay. So I've seen the rated, but I won't lie. Today on Blu-ray, I watched the unrated, but I've seen the rated, and I know the 2 big differences, so it's not like I'm not up to speed on anything.
Awesome, guys. Let's jump into the scene by scene. Let's do it. All right, the film starts with a delivery van delivering this package to Sarah and Nika's house. Sarah makes Nika answer the door in her wheelchair. Nika thinks the delivery man is a hunk. He says he remembers her from City College. See you around, he says, and he hands her the package. She asks her mom if she should ask him out. And I wrote, Mom isn't real supportive, and she says she doesn't want to see Nika get hurt. She jokes to Mom about ordering off of the Home Shopping Network, but she says she hasn't ordered off of there in weeks. She opens the package, and it's a good guy doll. Nika says he's cute. Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play? Later that night, we hear Sarah screaming, and the light turns on. Nika calls for her mom and then goes to check things out. No answer from Mom. She takes the elevator down, and she sees a puddle of blood, and she cries. She calls the police as we see Sarah's dead body in the middle of the floor. The camera pans away, and we see Chucky sitting in the chair, innocent looking with a title card. We get opening credits and an ominous score. We see the police arrive and take the body away. Barb and Father Frank arrive to the house, and we see Nika packing up paintbrushes. Barb hugs Nika, and Nika says Mom was fine and asks how she could do this to herself. Father tries to comfort Nika, even though she and Mom left the church a while back. Barb says we need to pray for her forgiveness. Nika says it's her fault. Ian, Jill, and Alice walk in. Ian says Nika's chair is cool, and Barb introduces Nika to Jill, the nanny. Alice asks her Aunt Nika if Grandma went to heaven. Nika says she has a surprise for her, but the Chucky doll isn't in the chair behind them anymore. Barb asks to speak to Nika alone. Ian and Jill discuss her nanny salary as Alice goes to the bathroom. We see the shower curtain move, and Alice walks to it and is jump scared by the doll. Alice screams, and Ian gets the door open to see Alice holding the doll. Nika and Barb with Father Frank begin to discuss the plans for the house. Barb wants to sell the house and put Nika in like a living facility, I guess. Barb complains of her struggles financially. She asks if Nika can handle living here by herself. The rest walk into the room, and Nika is shocked Chucky was in the bathroom. Chucky's my friend till the end. I like to be hugged, Chucky says. His pupils get bigger, and Alice says Chucky asks what's for dinner. Nika asks if Father Frank will stay for dinner, and then Nika and Alice begin to make the chili. Alice samples it and thinks it's really good. Alice and Nika leave the room to set the table, and Chucky looks around the room. We now see rat poison being poured into one of the bowls of chili. Chucky is now sitting on the floor to Nika's shock. We see one bowl with some extra ingredients on top of the cheese. And that's the opening. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, right off the bat, I love the set design and everything about this old Gothic house. It's perfect. And despite what I think about a lot of this franchise, one thing that they've always gotten right to me is the soundtrack, and this one to me is no different. The soundtrack is amazing in this one from the very beginning. I think. I love the character development of this scene and the way Fiona and Chantel Quizznell as Sarah, like they play off each other and establish their relationship right off the bat. I think it's fantastically written by Mancini and acted by those two. Chantel actually played Pauline the Cougar in Blue Mountain State, which I remember, and Miss Carlsville in the original Goosebumps series back in the day. So that's a little tidbit. But it builds great, builds up great tension as Nika finds her mom. You can tell that CGI blood, but I did like the reflection of Nika in the blood. But the panning, and this is what Mike was talking about with some of the shots. This is just some of the examples. They're like the panning of Chucky or panning to Chucky, in the chair, and the title card that pops up, I think looks amazing. And that one shot pan around showing like time progression was also fantastic. And another great shot I wanted to point out was when Nika said, it's my fault. I should have seen it coming. And you see Chucky kind of sitting in that chair, blurred out in the background. I loved it. Also, shout out to friend of the show Danielle Bissetti, who did the intro to this episode. She plays Barb fantastically, especially with the back and forth with Nika about selling the house. Also, I wanted to point out this is the premiere of Summer Howell, who plays Alice. I know she's in the next one, which is cool. Like I said, there's not a lot of carryover from movie to movie in a lot of horror movies. But the continuity for the most part is something I do like a lot about this franchise, even though we kind of discussed it. Some stuff doesn't make sense, but Lord Almighty, I mean, at least they tried. Also, some more great cinematography at the end of these scenes here with her chopping those tomatoes. Which, by the way, she's chopping the shit out of those tomatoes. I mean, relax. Are you cutting that with some damn butter knife or something? Like, I don't know, but it does make for a great visual. And the close up shots of the oven and the food, I really like. It's different. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so a lot of what you said at the beginning here, I love the music in this film. I love that they kind of, the Child's Play franchise never really had like a set score. How Nightmare has a score, Halloween has its score, Friday has, or whatever they want to say, Kill Mama, whatever. It's got all that, and Child's Play never really had like a set score, but this one kind of carries over into Cult, and I think it's really good. Yeah, again, love this opening. Obviously, there's kind of a weird the dynamic with Sarah and Nika though. Like, you don't really know because obviously she does get hit on here by this delivery guy, and the mom's really not about it, and it's kind of rude. And again, you don't really get time to kind of flesh out exactly what happened there because turn around, Sarah's on the kitchen floor dead after, And by the way, this is a perfect time to comment on this. Again, not a huge fan of the franchise, so I'm not invested like other fans might be in the look of Chucky. But I actually like for some of this movie that they go back to more of a cleaner, good guy doll look. I think it makes it almost creepier. The fact that he just has this clear or this clean face, knowing that at some point we're probably going to get the scarred up Chucky, which we do. So I really don't see the complaint about that. But anyway, love the kill of Sarah. That's CGI blood, and obviously because of budgetary reasons, they had to use some CGI in this one. Because again, straight to DVD, can't use as many practical effects as they have in other Child's Play installments. But again, you get what I think that reflection. You get the shot on Chucky's face, which I just absolutely love, and then that pan around the room that's a really cool shot. Like anytime someone can pull that off, it looks like a one take, and it's just a really cool way to shoot a doll and make it really, really creepy. So again, you get Barb, the family come in, love that dynamic as well. Again, this is, kind of a constant theme that we've kind of had the last few weeks where we've done some movie with some family dynamics, and for whatever reason, that's just kind of interesting to me. Though when you tie that into a horror film, I think it makes it kind of grabs my attention more because people can relate to, problems in their own family. And here they are, they're trying to sell the house. You get an idea of the kind of person Barb is right off the bat to me, especially bringing in Father Frank when obviously neither one of the other two have had anything to do with the church for a long time. By the way, Father Frank is here to die on screen, which is like you can pick out characters really quick to see who's going to die on screen. He's like, that guy, he's in this movie to die on screen. So I thought that was good. By the way, Jill, I know what I know what I said to Fiona Dorff, but you can forget all about that if you call me sometime. You really can just. It's okay. I'm just lending an ear. So if you ever need to talk, Jill.
Speaking of Jill Maitland McConnell, to me, to me, she looks a ton like late '90s Denise Richards. Like that's who I thought. Like that's definitely who she reminds me of.
She even has a little bit. Amanda, what's the golly? I'm gonna butcher her last name. The female actress from Mean Girls that like grabs her boobs and says, "There's a whatever chance it's already raining." She kind of has like a nice mix of those two actresses to me. I can't
Amanda
remember.
Seyfried?
There you go, buddy.
Seyfried. Yeah,
there you go.
Or Seyfried?
Yeah. I just didn't want to butcher the last name. Yeah, there's like a cross of those two to me. I think it works. Again, child actress. I think she's adorable. I think it works for the film to kind of bring a child back in instead of having more of adults or teenagers or whatever. Really, really works. Kind of harkens back to Andy Barclay and all that. Really good. The scene in the bathroom,
yes,
is awesome. I love it. It's creepy. Again, this gets back to what a Chucky movie should be, where they're using suspense. And by the way, we're probably 30-ish minutes in almost, and we haven't heard anything from Chucky at all. We've just seen him, little subtle movements, him grabbing at Alice, or screaming, but not being too scared of it. I like that the Chucky doll is talking to her, but we can't hear it. I really, really enjoy that about this, this early on set of scenes. And so,
that bathroom scene you're talking about, that tension in that scene was very good. Like I was very impressed how tense that was. And there's a lot of scenes like that in this movie. I praise it for.
Yes. And I like the diversion with Ian and Jill. Like, I think having them look like they're going to be having an affair is really interesting.
Yeah, that's a nice twist
to take, especially with what comes later. I think it's really good. But yeah, as far as the chili scene goes, I got no problem with Chucky. His little hand pouring rat poison into the chili makes me laugh. I'm sorry. I know.
Take my small hand, child.
Yeah, exactly. We said it when we reviewed the first Child's Play a long, long time ago, where it's like, sometimes it's really difficult for me to forget that this thing's a doll and I could just kick it. Like I could just kick it across the room. Like I know it's a possessed doll. I feel like I could just kick this doll's ass or something, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe I can't. But I'm willing to forgive it, suspend disbelief. But that Chucky bastard's up to his old ways again, pouring rat poison in, well, at least one bowl of chili. So job well done.
Yeah, and I said this in one of the other ones that we reviewed too, but like I think Mancini does a really good job of knowing the audience thinks, well, this is a dog, can kick the shit out of it, like you just said, but like not putting him in the position to where he could be kicked like that. Except I think there's a few movies where he does get booted, like a few times. But I think Mancini does a good job of writing him where he's just like, in the shadows, creeping around, doing stuff, not like point out like Jason jumping out like, hey, let's fight. I think they do a good job.
Right.
Man, that's one of my biggest pet peeves of this movie, though. It's like the three adults put up no fight against Chucky when like all you gotta do is just push him, kick him, especially Ian at the end. What a bitch Ian is. All right, anywho, let's keep going. We're at dinner now, and the bowls are being distributed for everyone. Everyone compliments Nico on how nice everything looks. Father Frank says grace over dinner. Alice goes to take a bite, but Ian stops her as he proposes a toast. Ian begins to say, "Oh my God," to raise alarm, but he says it's so good. Everyone thinks it's great, and then Barb asks for some salt. Frank says the doll looks very familiar. Barb seems upset Ian and Jill are somewhat bonding. Frank says he remembers seeing that doll on the news. We see close-ups of them eating, and Alice makes a funny face, says it tastes funny. Maybe there's too much oregano. Father Frank begins to not look well and sweating profusely. Barb asks if he's all right. He says he has to get going. He says he has an appointment at the church. He says he'll see them tomorrow at the cemetery as he walks away apologizing. Alice and Chucky watch him drive away. Now we're at the wreck scene and police show up. It's Father Frank. He lost control and hit someone head on. Officer Stanton says he doesn't believe it was his fault because he quit drinking a while back. Stanton removes the metal, like this metal piece of car against Father Frank's neck, and his head rolls off of him. We see he was gripping his cross necklace. Back at the house, they're all watching home movies. Nika talks about how happy her mom looks. Jill asks what happened to their dad. He drowned a few weeks before Nika's birth. We see Charles Lee Ray in the background, some neighbor from back home. Alice walks in and says Chucky is missing again. Barb says it's time to go to bed, and Barb sends Jill to find Chucky. Nika grabs the barcode from the package and leaves the room. Her house and cell phone both aren't working. Jill looks under the beds for Chucky, but he's not there. Jill keeps looking to no success. We see Chucky run in the mirror in the hallway. And then, Alice says, "There he is," and then Jill chases after him. Jill looks in the bathroom and checks behind the shower curtain after seeing it move, but he's not there. Jump scare as the wind blows the wind back open as she closes it. Jill goes into the kitchen and we see a knife is missing, and then Barb is behind her. She kisses her and Jill says she missed her. Nika is back in the living room and sees Chucky sitting beside Ian, who's asleep on the couch. Ian wakes up now and says he doesn't spend enough time with Alice. Chucky says life is short with an evil laugh. Ian says the 80s were awesome. Nika volunteers to take Chucky up to Alice. The power goes out and the elevator stops. Nika calls for Ian and she rings the elevator bell. Barb hears the alarm now and tells Jill it's always something with her, and Jill is the only one who appreciates her. Jill says we can get by without the money, and Barb says she's a mess. Back to the elevator, and we hear a knife cut as Nika's head jerks up. The lights come back on, and Chucky's head is twisted around facing her with an evil laugh. Head turns around as Alice grabs the doll. Nika tells Barb she's the best judge of her wellness. Barb says she's worried about her heart. Nika says she's perfectly capable of taking care of herself. Alice notices Nika is bleeding, and Barb bitchily says she can't feel a thing about her leg cut. Barb takes Alice to bed now. All right, go ahead, Brian.
So at the beginning of this group of scenes, those close-up shots, they continue a little bit from the last group here as we kind of get this Russian roulette, basically, with the soup and those extreme close-ups of everybody eating. I love them. I think they
Me
give you
too.
that like
Yep.
they give you that like half grossed out feeling and just
Yep.
uneasiness while you're waiting. And see out of the corner of my eye, Nico's like up to the screen
What
doing
the
it.
hell is happening here?
Oh, I wish everybody could
Jesus.
see that. Um,
See you guys
anyway,
next week.
anyway, those shots kind of give you this, that the grossed out feeling, but also the uneasiness, while you're waiting for that shoe to drop. And I'm not the biggest fan though of the fake outs, like with Ian being like, "Oh my god," and you think he's about to choke. I don't know. I kind of felt like those were cheap. But the tension built up after that, I thought was very well done. Honestly, when he got up and left, I was sitting at that at that table. If I was sitting at that table after he left, I would have 100% said he could have taken a shit here if he needed to. I mean, that's just like what was going through my mind. Not that it
Exactly.
was sick. I was like, oh well, he's got to take a shit. Um, this is the first set of scenes where there's some subtle differences though in the unrated and the rated version, where in the unrated version there's more blood spurting from the priest's torso, which I'm going to say I wasn't a big fan of anyway to begin with. Like it looked too fake with the amount that was there, so I'll definitely side with the rated version here and the least amount of squirting blood there. I love the old movie footage in that John Wayne Gacy style, like video and spotting Charles Lee Ray. I know they had to put a wig and a lot of makeup on Brad to kind of somewhat get him to that point. We saw him in Child's Play 1, uh, which, by the way, was the last time we saw Charles Lee on screen. And I mean, it definitely doesn't look like he's that young, but to me, it doesn't really matter. Like, I love how it adds to his legend and ties it in here so beautifully. Shit, almost right up to the point where he's gunned down in that first one. I think that's great. Um, but again, just the throwback nature of this movie, like what Mike talked about, like where it just shows bits and pieces of Chucky, like they did in the first one. I definitely give that high praise for that one, and like that shot of them in the elevator, and you get that profile shot of Chucky and Nika, just where it's like backlit, and you just kind of get their profile. I think that's a beautiful shot. A little nitpick though, I will say, is where Nika conveniently has just the return label, like from the package, just laying there on the side table. When she picked that up, I was like, "Oh my god, okay." But anyway, that's all I had. That's all I had in this group.
Yeah, as far as this the dinner scene goes, I love a lot of these shots. You know, I mentioned it off my open where I just thought Don Mancini, this is probably his best as far as directed film. Not even so much those, Nico, which you're again putting your mouth to the computer screen. Not even so much those, but the overhead shot as it circles around the table is awesome.
Yeah.
And the music there, the way it's lit, I love it. It's really, really good. Some of the close-ups on the mouth I could take or leave, but it does add a little bit of tension, kind of grossed out. Yeah, and I don't know if I don't remember if Brian's ever seen this or not, so maybe we're just, but like, it's the same feeling I get when I watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the dinner table. It's kind of like, this is gross, man. Like, or for you younger people, it'd be the Nasty Patty episode of SpongeBob, where you just that's just disgusting. Okay, anyway.
Almighty.
But yeah,
or the platform, any of it.
Yeah,
any of the platform. Don't eat. Yeah, they're already eating apple cores and everything else. Yeah, so obviously, like I said off the top, Father Frank is here to be killed on screen. He gets that. You know, Brian mentioned him having to take a shit. That's how I look when I eat chili. Trust me, so I understand. My man was sweating it out. Now, my man had rat poison in his, but that's neither here nor there. Like you said, there's a difference between rated and unrated. I'm fine with either one. I will say I don't love this kill for whatever reason. I expected the poison to kind of come into more of a play, and I don't really think it does. You get a decapitation, but it's kind of a hit and miss to me, where some days I like this kill. Some days in the unrated version, his head rolling off the back of the car with the blood squirting up is just a little too much for me. I don't think it looks that great. And I'm a sucker for a neck kill. So are you. So, this is a little too far to me. We come back to the house. They're watching the old home movies. I love the tie back to Charles Lee Ray. I think I said it when we reviewed, I want to say Bride of Chucky maybe, but definitely in the first one where I want to see more of this Charles Lee Ray character in the franchise. Like, I just think it's a really solid, and I hope on the TV series maybe we get a little bit of that. A little more backstory with Brad Dourif. I think that would be interesting to kind of dive into.
Absolutely.
Love that it ties back into this family. You're kind of retconning some stuff, but I'm okay with it here. It's not too hard one way where now Brad Dourif looks like Brad Dourif's supposed to look in 2013. He doesn't look like he did in the 80s, but I'll give him credit for trying. He looks like he's an old guy out of Dazed and Confused is really what he looks like. But yeah, so I love the old home movies. Again, here you get the twist where it's actually Jill and Barb that are having an affair, and I think that makes it more interesting. I love that twist. It's very interesting. It's not something you see a lot in these horror movies. And again, you can you're not rooting for Barb in the first place. You're not necessarily rooting for Ian either. You're really only in this movie to root for Nika. And so the fact that Barb is not only cheating, she's trying to get money from Nika and everything else. So just like not a very good person. Really well acted though. First of all, if I'm Jill, I'm not looking for the Chucky doll. Now, I guess after you find out what Jill gets paid, maybe I would. But again, they do such a good job before that twist setting up Jill and Ian. Like, they're on the floor, they're doing the good guy doll thing. He said, the 80s were great and all this other stuff. Like, you get a lot of that, and bam, they just kind of pull one over on you. And I think it's really, really well done. So, yeah, Barb is a bitch to Nika here with the leg cut. I was like, I remember the first time I watched this movie, I said, "Oh, fuck you," out loud. I'm in a room by myself. I just went, "Well, fuck you too, bitch." Okay. So, I really, again, this is probably the most positive I've ever been on a Chucky film this far in. There's some nitpicks. It's not perfect. But when I think of the movie before this and I think of the movie after this, it's a reverse moldy sandwich. It's a moldy sandwich with meat that hadn't expired, man. It is 2 pieces of moldy bread with some really good filet mignon in the middle. Like, it is. That's what we have here with these 3 films. So yeah, man, so far so good. I really enjoy the film.
Hey, that scene where Nika goes in front of the projector and tries to kind of look at Ian and Chucky, I think that's a great shot, but it definitely reminded me of Friday the 13th final chapter where that scene where Ted gets killed like in front of that projector.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
I don't know of another one that's like that. So that definitely called me back to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. All right, Barb and Alice says nighttime prayers, and we see the roof is leaking into a bucket. Alice tells Barb that Chucky says there's no God and more bad things like life is a bitch. Alice asks Barb if she's going to die. She says Chucky says we're all going to die. Barb doesn't believe her and tucks her into bed. Alice asks to sleep with her, but she says no, she's a big girl now. Nika is on the phone now with the courier customer service, and the package was from Evidence Depository, and then the call disconnects. Alice is scared in bed and gets under the covers with Chucky and a flashlight. She shines it at Chucky, saying, "I'm scared." Then we get the iconic Chucky laugh and says, "You should be scared." Nika looks in on Alice's room and she and Jill talk, and she tells her that he came from Evidence Depository. She says maybe she heard wrong. Jill says she doesn't care who sent it as long as Alice is happy. She's been so sad lately. Jill tells Nika good night as she goes to lay down. Jill undresses and we see Chucky's not in the bed with Alice anymore. Nika fires a laptop up and Googles Chucky doll evidence. That'll tell you everything. She reads about all the homicides associated with it. We see young Andy Barkley with the doll. Jill and Barb now video call each other as we see Chucky under the bed Jill is sitting on. Nika reads about Charles Lee Ray. Barb takes her wedding ring off and points behind her, saying that Alice is up. Now we see Chucky by the water bucket. Nika clicks the picture of Charles Lee Ray. Chucky kicks the bucket over into the electrical outlet, electrocuting Jill to death. The lights flicker, and Nika realizes the neighbor from the home movie is Charles Lee Ray. Chucky says women can't live with him, period, and laughs. We see Chucky POV shot with a knife in hand. Barb goes to check on Alice, and Ian asks, "What about Jill?" He calls her out, asking about her. Barb says she's seen the way he looks at her, and he says, "Ditto." He tells her he set up a nanny cam inside the doll to try and prove Barb is hooking up with the nanny so he can take Alice from her. He puts earplugs in and tunes her out. She calls it, I thought this was fun. She calls him a latte making loser. Stanton calls over the radio about the father and heads to Nika's house to see what they might know. All right, go ahead, Brian. You latte making loser.
I got to put that in my vocabulary. Prayer time cracked my ass up. There was something about seeing little Summer House saying, "Life's a bitch," and then you die bleeding like a stuck pig. I don't know. That just cracked me up. Um, but apparently, Summer was scared of the Chucky doll. So the scenes of the two together were apparently superimposed, and that shocked the hell out of me, honestly, to learn because I couldn't tell at all. And especially with the this movie coming out in 2013. I mean, CG wasn't terrible then, but given the budget for this and the CG blood at the beginning, I was really
Yep.
shocked to hear that it looked as fantastic as it did. And you couldn't tell at all. I couldn't anyway. Um, Another little convenient nitpick was the phone cutting out right after Nika was told that the package was from Evidence Depository, which I was like, what the hell? Plus, I mean, to me, how would the delivery service even know that for one thing? But you know, the convenience of that cutting out right after that gave me a little eye roll watching it back. And this reveal of Chucky here, which 44 minutes in, which by the way, I believe is the longest duration in a Chucky movie without hearing Brad's voice. But the I'm scared. You fucking should be. Is a such a good reveal,
Ah, it's
man.
awesome.
It is great. It's definitely an interesting choice to not have Alice, kind of scared of him too. I thought that was a nice little twist added in there. Um, Again, I love the callbacks and the internet search showing the history throughout the movies. I think it works very well as standalone and a callback. If you have seen the other ones, I think it's great writing. And this might be, I don't know, it's a tie between this group and the next group. My favorite set of scenes. Everything really gets going here, and just the way it's all handled is I love it. Now with Jill's electrocution, that's the second thing that little differs a little bit slightly in the unrated version. Apparently, it's just a little bit longer and kind of shows a little bit more in depth. Nothing big time though. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I love this bedtime. And a few quick things. One, I'm not kissing that Chucky doll if I'm Barb. Not a chance. That's a creepy looking fucking doll. And then it's like, what about Chucky? I'm sorry, Alice. You just go to sleep now, Alice. Okay. I'm not kissing your doll on the forehead. I'm lying.
Since
If it was
Dustin's
my
not here, we'll go
daughter.
ahead and give that the man fuck them kids award right there.
Yeah, that is not what you do, Alice. Do not do that. Yeah, so I laughed my ass off when she types in Chucky doll evidence. Like, come on, man.
What do you
Come
want her to
on.
type in?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just thought that was really, really funny, really blatant. Which I mean, I guess that's what I would type in. I mean, I don't know. It was just really funny to see it. Like, all right, let's start here, and somehow we got Charles Lee Ray in this picture. And so, but I do like that. That realization that I think it's really well acted on her face. That this is the guy from the home video. Oh fuck, like yeah. And so that's the reveal for Chucky to her. We already got the awesome reveal to Alice. But the "you fucking should be" is a great line delivered by Brad motherfucking Dorff. As again, love that name. He should just adopt that middle name, and he can give me credit for it. But again, we're really well done. And again, a lot of people complain in this set of scenes about the look of Chucky. I read a couple things online about this movie last night before I'll be watching it again today. And a lot of people in this set of scenes in particular, the reveal, and then we get to Jill's electrocution, some of the facials he was making. But I think you have to remember the longer, this is how the rule is supposed to be, the longer you're in the doll, the more human you become in the doll. That is what I understand the rules of Chucky to be. So his face does get more, eyes get wider, looking a little bit more like Brad Dorff, mouth gets a little more real, I think it's a good look. It's creepy. And again, I like that we're going back to that shiny plastic look. As far as Joe's electrocution goes, I was a little let down by this kill. I think that I would have liked to really, and I'm okay with them taking a more toned down approach throughout the rest of the movie. But this is a kill I think that could have really kind of amped up a little bit, made it a little more creative. I mean, it's water electrocution. You could have really done some cool stuff with that. And to me, they just didn't rate it or unrated. I just don't think very highly of the kill. However, this affair sucks. I'm going to tell you why. You're in the same house, and you have to Skype sexy time? Get the fuck out of here, man. Come on. You already said your husband's a latte-making loser. Just say, all right, I'm going to get a glass of milk, which is exactly what she would have been getting. So anyway, yeah, man, but I will say, I do like that they have Ian keyed in on that. I think that was a good reveal. And I like that he put the camera in the Chucky doll, which I don't know where or how he had time to do that, but okay. But I like that it's there because later on it sets up a really cool shot to me. Yes, as far as Ian's did, spoiler, Ian dies, and it sets up a really cool death to me. Oh my God. Yeah, I know. Spoiler. Whew. Sorry, guys. But yeah, really cool shot. And I like their interaction because I really did. The first time I ever saw this, did not expect that twist. And we know Jill's dead. She doesn't know Jill's dead, which is something I always like as an audience member. So yeah, good set of scenes, man. I see a lot of complaints about how long it took Chucky to speak in this film. But if you go back to the original Child's Play, that's what this is. And this is a different family. It would be different if he were messing with Andy Barkley again. Because Andy already knows the Chucky doll speaks. And he cusses and says all this stuff. This is a family that does not know. So this is the best way to tell, to kind of creep up on people and tell the story. And so, again, I just cannot get over the "you fucking should be" line. That's fantastic.
That's one of my things, like you were talking about, though, with Jill's death being disappointing. It's like she just sits there and looks at this doll.
Yeah.
Like, throw the laptop at it, jump on the bed, hey, quote Willie Taggart, do something. All right, anywho, back to the scene by scene. Back to the house, Barb calls for Alice when she sees a shadow. She turns the corner to see the Chucky doll sitting at the bottom of the attic stairs. Nika tries to take the elevator, but it's not working. She calls for Barb and asks, where's Alice? She says, put the doll down. Barb thinks Nika is talking about the nanny cam, which, by the way, where would he put this nanny cam at where it's not visible to everyone else? Like, that bothers me some, too. Barb isn't listening to what Nika has to say and brings up her handicap, her dropping out of school, and Nika yells to put the doll down. Barb walks up to the attic with the doll. Nika yells for Jill and Ian, but no answers. Still no cell signal. Nika now climbs up the stairs. Barb looks through the attic, calling for Alice. She tells her she's in big trouble. She finds a knife in Chucky's overalls and is shocked. She sits Chucky down and distracted by the rocking horse moving. She sets the knife besides Chucky and looks for Alice. Barb sees a mouse and backs into Chucky, who's sitting in a different spot now. She notices the plastic on his face and begins to pick at it, and we see the stitching on his face now. She reaches towards him and he yells at her. He charges her as she crawls into a wall. Chucky says Barb has her mother's eyes, and he stabs her in the eye. Nika gets to the attic staircase as the door opens. We see the eyeball bounce down to Nika. Nika now sees Barb walking toward the stairs, and she falls down the steps into Nika with her eye missing. Chucky walks to the stairs and calls for Nika and walks down the stairs. She gets into a different wheelchair, and Chucky stomps Barb's eye and says, I'm gonna get you. Nika finds Jill dead and calls for Alice. I think it's a cool little chase scene as Nika gets into Ian's room. Nika tells Ian that Alice is missing and the others are dead. She says Chucky's still out there. He runs out the door and finds Jill's dead body. He carries Nika downstairs and puts her in the wheelchair. He pushes her cautiously through the house. Chucky watches them make it into the garage. She tells Ian to stay away from that doll. Ian goes back into the house to find Alice, and I got a great laugh out of this. I wrote, LOL, he whispers for her at the bottom of the stairs. The garage door slams, and we see Chucky is in the garage. He cranks up the car and stares at Nika. He revs the engine to fill the garage up with exhaust. She can't get the door open and coughs a lot. She finds an axe and breaks the glass. Chucky takes the keys and swallows them. Ian goes into the garage and takes the axe and now accuses her of doing it. Nika now begins to have that heart issue that was brought up earlier and asks Ian to inject her under her ribs. Now we see that Nika's vision is blurry and she passes out. And the next two scenes are ending. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I don't know. I lied. I think this one is actually my favorite set of scenes here. This Barb scene, first off, I think Danielle kills it here. And in that shot where she pulls out that knife and sees herself in the reflection, goddamn, I think that's great. The brilliant damn reveal too to me is that it's the same Chucky doll, but all the stitches have been covered up. I love that so much. I think they ruined that shit in the next movie, but we'll leave that alone. Chucky's line about having her mother's eyes and they were always too fucking close together. Oh, that was brilliant. But so now this is one of the two parts of the unrated cut that is way better. I mean, this is actually my favorite kill in the unrated version because it actually shows like a close up of Barb's eye and the knife stabbing her directly in it. I think it's a badass kill for sure in the unrated version. I really hate that it was kind of dumbed down there by the censors. There should have been way more blood though. Whenever she fell down in the attic, her eye socket was way too dry. And another nitpick is when Chucky is walking down the stairs after Nika, the CG looked like, well, it looked like a direct-to-video CG should look like. It looked pretty bad.
It did.
And come on, there's no manual unlock on that garage door. That bothered me. But shout out to Fiona here. I mean, amazing acting inside that garage and how it's like fading out and only seeing Chucky in the background, while she was kind of passing out and it was fading out. I thought that was great. But just tremendous acting from Danielle and Fiona in these set of scenes right here.
Yeah, I love this family dynamic. So we get the sisters interacting here. This is just kind of same old hat with Barb because you have a situation where she doesn't want to hear anything that Nika has to say. And so she's convinced that Nika's talking about the camera being in the doll. And I really like that. By the way, the shot at Chucky down at the attic or, bottom of the attic, that's awesome. It's a cool shot. It's again, some really good directing work here from Don Mancini. It's just wild to me that he can direct this movie and direct Colt, and it just does not make any sense to me. Anyway, so I like this kill of Barb. I like the eye gouging out. I love the line right before the kill where it says you have your mother's eyes. They were too fucking close together, and he stabs her in the eye. I love it. Really good Chucky stuff. That is, if I'm going to watch a Chucky movie, those are the one-liners I want. I don't want him to be too silly. I view Chucky and Freddy almost the exact same. I need dark, but I also need those one-liners. Like I need a good combo of both. And I think you get that in this movie. Her falling down the stairs, I love, like you said, just should have been way more blood. Just a little, again, I know you're balling on a budget here, but those kind of things, they do bug me. One thing I forgot to mention is the reveal of scarred Chucky by Barb kind of peeling back the skin. I thought it looked awesome. I don't see what everyone's complaining about, when it comes to this movie and the look. I just really don't. It's really cool because not only do you get old school good guy doll Chucky, then you get Chucky with the scars, like evil looking bastard. And I think it's, man, a really good combo of both. I can't say it enough, but first of all, Nika getting up the stairs, and I watched the kill count for this for Dead Meat Talk, but I also wrote about it in my notes. She gonna have some triceps getting up them stairs, man. My girl Nika was doing dips all the way up, backwards. Nah, son, she's gonna be swole. Shoulders and triceps are gonna be swole, man. So again, I see the only thing bad about Ian as a character is until she goes and gets him, I almost forget that he exists. I know we just had like a big brouhaha with him, but like I'm so locked into this family dynamic, I kind of forget he's there. And my only thing about Ian is when you put the camera in the good guy doll, you didn't think at that time to go get the good guy doll and watch the footage. You laid back down with earplugs in. So you're going to tell me you didn't hear any of this just because you had earplugs in? I don't know, man. That seems a little fishy to me. By the way, going back to the last set of scenes, nobody else heard Jill die? No one heard an electrocution? Nobody? Okay. All right. Cool, man. Whatever. Anyway, but yeah, so this set of scenes to me is just, I'm in it for Chucky at this point. I want to see more Chucky carnage because we've kind of gotten to the point where, all right, family dynamic. The only one that's really left is Nika because we don't know where Alice is at this point. And so Ian, I could take him or leave him. But he does. I'm glad he's still here because, again, I get one of my favorite shots in the film. But, you could just kind of see where this is going, though, a little bit. I will complain about that. Obviously, Ian's not going to believe her because nobody believes Nika ever, which is ridiculous. Very horror trope to me. That's a small nitpick, but I did notice that up on this last rewatch.
Alrighty, here's the ending, guys. She wakes up and she's bound to the chair. He tapes her mouth and he watches the tape from the nanny cam. They're in like another room. They're not in the garage one. I think they're back in where Ian was sleeping. We see him putting the camera into the doll and we see the shots from Chucky's POV. We see the night's events through Chucky's view now. Alice is locked in a closet. Live feed now and we see Chucky entering the room. And I wrote, Ian is an idiot. I really felt like the people should know that. Chucky pushes Nika's wheelchair into Ian, flipping him over. And I guess Chucky has triceps too because he flipped a grown-ass man with just pushing a wheelchair. Chucky now takes the axe and hacks Ian's jaw off. Chucky charges Nika and hacks into her leg. She slaps Chucky to the ground and removes the axe from her leg. Nika knocks Chucky's head off and he falls to the ground. Nika tends to her wound and we see Chucky stand up and put his head back on. He runs and grabs her wheelchair, pushing her through the railing onto the floor below. Chucky walks down to her and says that he's Charles Lee Ray. Or she says he's Charles Lee Ray. He asks if her mother ever mentioned her. Black and white flashback now. Chucky, or Charles Lee Ray, rocking some Ray-Bans at the cookout. Charles Lee Ray is introduced to Sarah, Daniel, and little Barb. Such a happy family, but not for long. Now we're at Daniel's funeral, and Charles is giving Sarah a creepy stare. Now we see Sarah bound in bed as Charles brings her some sunflowers, which is the only thing in color now. He tells her to relax. He's going to go pick up Barbie. She says, no, spend time with me. And there's a lot of dialogue here that I didn't write down. Sarah says she doesn't want to share her kids with him. We hear police sirens now outside his place. She says there is no us, and he asks, why would you want to destroy this family? He stabs her in the stomach now. Nika is handicapped because of the stab. Now we see Charles Lee Ray running into the toy store now from the original Child's Play. And I had to write it down, I'm sorry, even though it's a totally different story as to why he's in there now. It took him 25 years to find them, but it was worth the wait. He names off the families he's ruined, and Nika's family is his favorite. He says she reminds him of Andy Barkley. He says he killed Andy's childhood, and he killed her essentially 25 years ago. She now says he didn't kill Andy, and he has completion anxiety. I'm going to kill you slow, he says. She mocks him and the lights come back on and she crawls into the elevator. Chucky cuts her fingers in her hand as she grabs the knife. Chucky opens the elevator door and charges her. He bites her as she stabs him in the back. We hear Chucky laugh and the police show up. Stanton walks inside as he hears Nika's cries for help. He sees Barb's dead body, and he shines a light on Nika, who's holding the knife. We see Chucky sitting in a chair in the background. In court now, a judge rules Nika is criminally insane, and she's taken away. Nika mocks the doll as she passes him, as she's pushed out of the courtroom. I'm still alive, she yells. Close up on Chucky as an officer stares at it. The officer now takes the doll to his car and calls someone leaving a message. He's on the way and don't forget his money. We see the doll breathing now in the bag, and Tiffany appears, slitting his throat. They never learn, she yells. Who's next? She asks the doll. She's at a courier service and overnights the doll. She laughs when the representative says insurance protects her and the recipient. We see Alice now calling for her grandma. The package is on the table and open. Alice says, "You found me, Chucky." And she asks, "Where's Grandma?" Grandma is in the cellar and tells him her parents are dead. Time to play hide the soul. She's no one would ever expect and has her close her eyes and he begins to chant. We now see Grandma dead with a jump scare with a bag over her head. End credits roll, but it ain't over. 6 months later, a man gets a package delivered. He carries it upstairs and sets it on the table. We realize it's Andy Barkley, and Chucky cuts through the package. Chucky emerges from the package and turns around, and Andy has a shotgun pointed at him. Andy, he yells. Boom, shotgun. Or boom, gunshot. Movie over. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. So first off, I love the first person footage like Mike was talking about when he's watching back that video. I think that's a great shot as well. Now Nika being pushed into Ian, I thought that was a little cheesy. Also there's another unrated difference here with Ian's kill too, as it kind of shows Chucky look back at Ian again and gives you another longer shot of a dead, kind of mangled Ian. And not to criticize Mancini though, but to have Nika say my turn and then just bitch slap Chucky, I was like, that's it? Like, you gave the 80s action hero one liner for that? Like, maybe that could have come right before, she chopped his head off, with the axe, perhaps. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a wasted of the one liner there. But again, though, like, I love the flashback scenes. This is like the Freddy movies where I don't want to see an entire prequel of Freddy, or in this case, Charles Lee. But like seeing tidbits like this in flashback, I think it adds so much, to the lore, and it's tremendous. Also, just a little fun fact here that the knife Charles Lee Ray uses during the flashback sequence is the same knife Chucky uses throughout the first Child's Play movie. But tie it in so well. I thought was awesome with the mother's eyes lined, the sunflowers, making him the reason for Daniel's death, and Nika's being paralyzed. Again, just tying directly into the first one like it did. I thought it was brilliant writing. And speaking of the writing, the speech that you didn't really want to say too much that Chucky gives her. I mean, I can't do it justice either if I read it out loud, but I thought it was amazingly written. Especially the line about being the last one standing, so to speak. Love the dad joke there. Threw that in there. This is actually the first film in the franchise where Chucky actually wins, which is another reason why I love it so much. And just lastly, I really do like the Andy Barkley scene for the Easter egg type, but it's confusing as hell to me. Like the last one that we saw, like Chucky's transferring his soul into Alice. So like,
exactly.
How does this even make sense to even have this scene at all? Like it's an awesome little Easter egg, but to me, yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I have that too. I'm going to get to that because it sets up the next movie, which the whole thing kind of just, ugh. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so I love this. I love the first person shot of Ian's death. I would have liked a much cooler kill. Like I would have given Chucky a chance to really do something kind of awesome with that. And it's just Nika being rolled into him. Not a big fan of that either. Yeah, so I actually really like this quote unquote final fight scene that we get here. The back and forth dialogue between the two, her kind of egging him on, you never killed Andy Barkley, you didn't kill me, all that stuff. I I don't so much mind the retconning of whatever the original story was with Charles Lee Ray and putting this here, because I do think it's at least ties this movie in. And I'm all for a little continuity being, woven in between there. I think that flashback is really well shot to me. All that stuff. I think, he kind of looks, Charles Lee Ray really looks creepy as hell. In this setting, he's got her tied to a table. He's like Dr. Frankenstein or whatever. Like, it's just really creepy and old school, like gothic feeling to me. And I really like the way, that kind of contrasted the sunflowers and everything that we got earlier. So that was kind of cool. Again, I do. And I knew it was going this way. I'm okay with predictability. You mentioned this is the first one that Chucky wins. I like that Chucky wins because I don't think not every slasher has to have this final, resolute, happy, joy story. And I think that to have him win in the end by outsmarting her, honestly, because he's a doll, no one's going to believe that a doll did all this. Put the knife in your hand. Police opens up. I like that. I almost would like to get just like a side plot in the Chucky TV series. I know we're not going to get it, but if we ever get like a side show, I'd like to just see this court trial play out like as its own standalone miniseries, just to see how this is conducted as she tries to blame this doll for all these murders. I just think it would be TV gold. But anyway, so we get the interaction with Alice, and like you said, I'm right there thinking this is him taking over Alice's body. The jump scare of Grandma to me doesn't work. I don't know how in the hell Alice didn't hear Grandma. That makes no sense. None of that I really like. So again, kind of like some other Child's Play movies. I just don't know. Does anyone not? Here's a better idea. Don Mancini, getting right. 2.5 acts of every Child's Play movie. Then he needs to have someone come in and write the ending. Because if you remember the first Child's Play, he doesn't know when to end that son of a bitch either. Chucky comes back to life like 3 times. Child's Play 3, same thing. Bride of Chucky, same thing. Like, in the damn movie, man. And again, I love the appearance of Andy Barclay. I think it's awesome. Really cool callback. And I think if it were setting up a good movie, I would have been really, really hyped for it. But with hindsight, knowing the movie that it sets up, and 2, completely erases the scene we got before it, where Chucky, takes over the body of Alice. I'm guessing, and this is just a guess, that they're setting up the quote unquote cult where you can go into all these different bodies, which I hate so much. I hate it. And so if that's what this is, boo on the ending. Like this, I feel like we do this every time we do a Chucky movie where like it, here comes the end. God damn it, man. What is going on with this guy? So again, just doesn't know how to write an ending, I guess. But there's some good here for sure. Again, love the final fight scene between Nika and Chucky. I think that's really good. One thing I will say for a Chucky film, I think this kind of has some underwhelming kills, even in the unrated. And so that's a small nitpick as well. So it was kind of hard to pick a favorite kill for me because there's just not one that like stands out in my mind. It's just like really, really awesome kill. So I enjoyed the movie outside of this last like 8 minutes. I love the ending with Andy Barclay. I just wish that it was the ending and not the one that you get after you have to sit through everyone's name that worked on the movie.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I feel like you could end the movie a hell of a lot better. Like I feel like if you just end the movie with Nika getting pushed out, she's mocking him, and then you see like Jennifer Tilly just shipping the doll somewhere else, just end the movie right there. Then you pick up with Colt with him being delivered maybe or something like that. But the double ending doesn't work for me either. I'm with you, both of you guys on that.
Well, and it would make, it would make sense if there had like a different writer and a director. But I mean, Jesus Christ, Mancini did both of them, so he could have just like been like, even if they filmed it, if they got Andy Barclay like way later after the film was almost done, he could have just been like, oh, okay, well, let's just cut the scene with Alice where he's going into Alice's body because, isn't that the whole point? Like, I mean, not even getting into cult, because Jesus Christ, that makes absolutely no sense, like at all, the way that he's doing that. But if that was the true intention, like it still would make sense. You know, you're not explaining that
Right.
in this movie. It just
Yes.
makes everybody go like, "What the fuck? You don't know what you're doing." So like,
What the
just
fuck?
cut that scene with
Right.
Alice if you're going to have Barkley, or don't have Barkley and just keep that scene with Alice be the end. I mean, it just makes no sense.
Right. Also, I didn't even touch on this, and I meant to. Jennifer Tilly, I almost forget she's in the film. They save her cameo for last, or later in the movie. To me, she might have the best kill. Although this is the only way Jennifer Tilly ever kills anybody in this franchise is throat slash. So I'm cool with that because I love a good throat slash. So, and I think it actually looks good. So Now I will say one more quick comment. I almost feel like the crooked cop here was a really cheap way to kind of get Tilly in this movie.
It was the exact same way as Bride. I'm with you.
Right. I mean, I just don't understand. So we're kind of hitting the same notes, which some movies it works and some movies it doesn't. And I just kind of feel like, take or leave it. But at least we got a good kill. So
Mancini treats Chucky Child's Play like we treat our show. He just make the rules and do whatever we want to.
Yeah, pretty much.
Any more final thoughts? We're just jumping to some fun facts.
No, go ahead.
We said a lot of the ones I had throughout the show, so that's cool. I only got a few left. Brad Dourif, the voice of Chucky, recorded all of his lines in less than a day. That's awesome. He's the GOAT, or he's one of the GOATs.
Brad motherfucking
say it again,
Dourif,
Mike.
baby.
What is he?
Brad motherfucking Dourif. Sheriff Brackett. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey,
Chucky, my bad.
The creepy gas station guy from Urban Legend. The film was shot in 30 days. The makers had a practical joke at a bus stop to promote the film. A billboard of the movie's poster would light up, and an actor dressed as Chucky would suddenly bust through the billboard and scare whoever was nearby. If they did that to me, they might get punched in the face. No offense.
How do people not get shot? That's what I want to know. Like,
seriously, like you're taking a big risk doing that kind of stuff. And the last one I have is the first film in the series to be shot digitally and not on film. All right, go ahead if anybody else has any fun facts.
I got a few. Even though she plays Nika's mother, Chantal Quisenel is only 10 years older than Fiona Dourif. And the scene where Barbie scolds Alice for swearing is similar to the original film where Karen confronts Andy after thinking he was, saying something terrible about Maggie Peterson's death. And the last one, me and Nico kind of discussed off air. The IMDb, it has Brad Dourif has said that this is his favorite Chucky movie, which as soon as I read that, I was like, wait, what? Like, I distinctly remember Nico saying in Bride of Chucky when we reviewed it that he had read from IMDb that Brad Dourif said that was his favorite Chucky movie. Now, either somebody's lying or, maybe Brad Dourif said that before this one came. I don't know. Either way, I can understand how this would be his favorite, being that his daughter, is the main character. But either way, that's kind of, take that with a grain of salt. He said it's his favorite Chucky movie. Maybe.
Well, I mean, he might have said Bride of Chucky was his favorite at that time.
Yeah, maybe.
So maybe he just changed his mind. I was confused too, because I was like, when you sent the screenshot and the text, I was like, I definitely wrote on IMDb for Bride of Chucky. He said that as well. But Mike, go ahead.
Yeah. So this movie was made for $2.8 million, which is not a lot. Definitely down from even Seed of Chucky by a pretty significant amount. That's why it went straight to video. Made $3.8 million. So made money, kind of. Definitely at least made its budget back and then added $1 million on top. So if that's the reason we got Colt, I wish they hadn't made any money. Damn it.
Well, it had to have made a decent amount on streaming as well, because it was on Netflix for a long time.
Yes, of course it did.
All right, guys. Y'all ready to jump into the rating and the favorite kill and least favorite kill?
Let's do it.
All right, I'll kick us off tonight. I actually kind of disagree, Mike. I like the kills in this movie. They could have been a little more graphic, I guess. But favorite kill, I chose Barb just because I like the scene in the attic. Like seeing her get her eye stabbed out and her falling down the stairs. I like that. My least favorite, I almost picked the one Dead Meat did with the off-screen dad, but I chose, like you said at the end, Mike, Alice's grandma. I hate that jump scare. I thought she was dead. If you're able to jump your head up and scream, pull the damn bag off your head. What's wrong with you, Grandma? All right. My little summary. Really like this movie. Love the atmosphere. the portrayal of Chucky, the score, the kills. Brad Dourif is a legend, and I love him. Fiona did great as well. She was amazing. Not the biggest fan of Chucky's new non-stitch look. And like I said earlier, the continuity differences do bother me because Don Mancini just said, fuck it, just roll with it. I was like, all right, let's do it then. I think the acting was fine, but the character's lack of putting up any fight to Chucky annoyed the hell out of me besides Nika. Overall, easy movie to review because I've seen it so many times and I really like it. It's top tier for me, 8 out of 10.
All right, I'll go before you, Brian. Since you went before me all night, I'll go right here. Let's save the best for last, as they say. Okay. So my favorite kill was hard. I mean, it really was. As much as I kind of complained about it, no, I take it back. No, it's not. Best kill is Jennifer Tilly with the throat slash. That's my favorite kill. Least favorite kill is the grandma, like Nico said, where that just out of nowhere didn't make a whole lot of sense. We didn't see the kill. Like, there was just a lot about that I don't like. But I just kind of feel that the kills in this movie are a little tame for what I want to see. But I guess, so are Screams, at least in the first two movies, or definitely in the first movie. So again, not the best movie of Chucky kills. I'll say that. Not when we got Bride, when we just got all these crazy out there kills. Like, I guess I just kind of got used to seeing that. But anyway, so again, not a huge fan of the franchise. The character of Chucky, sometimes I just can't take seriously. Part of the reason is because of the way it's written and the way he's directed and everything else. However, I do feel like this movie gets back to basics in the best way possible for the majority of the film. We get a lot of callbacks to that first film. Then we get a lot of really good Chucky one-liners from Brad Dourif. I think he's awesome. I think Fiona Dourif acts her ass off in this movie. When you see that, you almost think nepotism, but that's not the case. She earned that role. She's great in this film. She's great in the next one. She's just in a shit bomb movie. Not her fault. But, all the positives I've said. It's shot really well. Love the score. Few nitpicks here and there. Really enjoyable Chucky movie. I gave it a 7.5. I gave this movie a higher rating than I did Midsommar, which, okay.
I definitely will, so don't worry about that. I just would like to point out, too, like, I forgot to mention whenever, the extra scene in Andy's apartment, it kind of shows, his mom, the picture of his mom, but you get a picture of Christina Lee's friend of the show, Christina Lee's of Kyle as well. By the way, you can listen to her interview on don'tgoouthere.com. But anyway, my favorite kill in this one is in the unrated version, it's Barb, because I loved seeing the actual knife stab into the eye in the unrated version. But in the rated version, it's Ian, I think. I didn't really put a least favorite kill. I really disliked I felt like because we got some character development with Sarah, I really felt like that her kill was just a cop out because, it never showed it. And then it kind of showed her just stabbed with scissors, like at the end, I don't know. I didn't like that at all. I totally agree with you guys in the grandma kill. I just wanted to pick something different. But again, like, this is my favorite in the franchise. I was really hoping, especially at the time, that it was going to kickstart, the whole thing kind of back into gear and go this route with it when it came out. But Cult we've said it is such a disappointment in my eyes. But I rated this movie a 9. And when I say it's my favorite, it's by a long shot because we've reviewed Bride, which I didn't rate very favorably, but Child's Play 1 and Child's Play 2, I think I both gave them 6.5s. And so I think if those are the number 2, and I gave this one a 9, there's a big jump there in my favorite 1 and 2. So anyway, there you go.
Damn, 9, hell yeah, brother. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't expect that.
Put his nuts on the table. My man put his nuts on the table with that
I
one.
was saying I thought Brown was like a 7.5 or something. He threw a fucking 9 on the table. Hell yeah, brother.
All right.
Any more final thoughts before we jump into just shouting out our blood donors?
No, shout them out. Love those guys and girls.
All right.
Hey, I just want to let you know when I always use a play on one of Chucky's famous quotes. Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play? I always say, hi, I'm broke. Want to pay?
Oh, okay. There we go.
Throw that out there. I literally do that all the time.
All right. Let's shout out our blood donors. Our camp level, These are our reoccurring, our camp level. Clayton J, appreciate you. Nina, sorry we still don't know your last name, but big shout out to Nina. And our camp counselors, Hunter Nelson, whose pick is next week that we'll be reviewing. Karen, Miss Shan Petrusevich, and Dennis Kennedy. Thank you all so much for your blood donor. We just really appreciate it. It's awesome. We also have Miss Joe Swinford, legendary blood donor. We got to make up her pick as well when she feels better. Hope you feel better, Joe. Hey, we missed you tonight. But let's announce next week's pick real quick and we'll get out of here. You got to say his name 3 times, and it's the sign right behind Brian's head. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I think this
said
is
it 3 times, didn't you? Just went ahead and fucking said it, just out of the blue. Okay.
I'm about to go say Candyman 5 times in the mirror in a second, so don't worry about that.
Well, let's get off this call before you do that, because I'm not getting any of that juju.
Hey, I heard Mike say Marvin Harrison out loud one time.
Oh, shit.
Who's that? Hey, don't be late on. Hey, don't be late on your rent.
Yeah, for real. Anywho, next week will be is Hunter Nelson's pick. He won't be joining us, but he picked Beetlejuice for us. And I think Beetlejuice is a great way to end September and to go into October because, you know, October is going to be a lot of Halloween themed movie picks. And right at, and we're going to end the show now. October is Dennis Kennedy. He commented on one of our Facebook posts. Yes, he asked if we're going to have any goodies or treats for October. Absolutely. Halloween Kills is on streaming. That film review is coming as soon as we can get it out. And we have a giant ranking episode. And looking forward to that one, too. Our ranking episode last year was a lot of fun. So I think this one will be a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn it.
And as we're getting out of here, just like Curse of Chucky kind of gave Andy Barkley a little cameo here, you know, we're going to also end our show the same way they did with little Alex Vincent taking us out and telling you what podcast you should be listening to.
Hi, this is Alex Vincent, Andy Barkley from the Chucky franchise, and you are listening to the Don't Go Out There horror movie podcast. Keep listening. Chucky will kill you.
Just want to remind everybody,